What's up, everybody? Hey, welcome back. TJ McClellan, broker of Fitness Realty. We're here for a little Dotloop training. I know you guys are excited about this video, and mainly because the old video was very distractive. There was a ton of stuff going on. I am hoping to keep this video under an hour, so yay for that. But yeah, let's get right into it. All right, so what I want to cover today is everything about Dotloop, everything you need to know to navigate Dotloop. And let's just first start with Dotloop is our e-signature platform. It is the platform that's giving you the ability to e-sign all of your documents with your clients. And that is really going to make things smooth for you because you can quickly send out your documents to get them signed with your clients, and they can quickly send them back after signing. It takes almost no effort for them to figure out how to log into it and how to sign, and then they're automatically sent back to you with all the signatures on it. So you can really tell, or you can, hopefully at the end of this video, you will see just how fast and how easy this tool makes your life as a realtor. All right, so let's just go over everything kind of from top to bottom. All right, so when you guys log in, you'll have this premium account right here. And everybody on our team gets a premium account for free. So that is my, not incentive, that's not where I was going with this, but that's just one of the tools that I'm handing off to you guys because it's actually cheaper for me to just provide that for you than it is if you went out to buy it for yourself. So most everybody on the team knows that if you were to buy that for yourself, it's about $70 a month. It just doesn't cost me much to add you to our account. So that's why I give it to you for free. All right, so activity log, we could click on that. It'll just show what I've been doing on Dotloop. Notifications, you can see I have a whole crap ton. I never even click this button, and mostly that's because you get notified through your email as well if you have documents to look at. So I find it's easier for me to just track through my email what's going on there. So all right, let's start with this button first. Most of you know that when you're navigating something like this, when you click on your profile picture, or if it has just your initials there without your picture yet, that's where your account information's at, and that's where I want you to start, because I want you to set that up completely so that all your information is correct from the start. That'll help you navigate and get through most of the things in Dotloop later on, and it just helps you fill in or pre-fill in or autofill some of the forms that you're going to be using all the time. All right, so account settings, let's see, first name, last name, broker or user role. You can see I'm the brokerage manager. Email address, I don't have a fax, so if you guys have one, add that there. Phone number, e-sign name, e-sign initials, company name, job title. You could put your tagline if you wanted to in here. This is where you could add your NRDS ID number. I haven't added mine, or I've added it in the past and maybe it got purged, or this might actually be something new and maybe I haven't seen that since last time. Something else that I like here is if you make an account with Zillow, and it doesn't need to be a Premier account, but if you make an account with Zillow, you can actually link that account with Dotloop. It's one of the only integrated realtor profile accounts. And so if you integrate it with Dotloop, there's actually a section where you can go in and request reviews to Zillow from the people that you've dealt with in the past, which it kind of makes it nice. They just get a little email and they go right to it, and then they're actually right into Zillow making the review for you, which is super fast. All right, country, time zone, address, you guys all got that. So I'll hit save. Excuse me. All right, profiles. This is where you can make your profile. You probably won't have this admin that's on the admin side for the company, but you can put your profile name, put in a picture. Oh wow, let's put in a better picture. So Let's see. Let's use this one. Okay. So whenever that uploads, that'll be nice. You can see the broker license number. That's just mine. Office ID number. Broker agent ID. Agent license number. So you can make sure that you have all that stuff in. Maybe I need to put that here. Sorry, stand by. I'm going to get the broker license number. Yeah, let's try that. Okay, brokerage, fitness, realty, and then you guys all have Utah Association of Realtors. This is how we get access to our forms. So this is the Utah AOR forms, and I'll show you more about that a little bit later. The company name, fitness, realty, company owner name. I could put myself there. It's all good, or my mom. And then notifications. You could get all these if you want. I guess I still have them selected there. I just, like I said, I use my email to get all my notifications. All right, so that went well. Now let's do document preferences. In document preferences, this is where you could change. Most of the time, everybody only changes this if they like what they write into a contract instead of just the form. The blocks that we write into, they like that to be blue. It helps it to stand out. You could change it to black if you wanted, but I think blue stands out really well, and so it's easy for everybody to read and see. All right, so you can see messenger notifications. There aren't very many times that I've used the in-platform messenger in Dotloop where somebody could write you a message and then you're replying in there. It just seems it's easier to continue to text everybody or email them like normal. And then upgrading, of course, everybody has the premium membership, so you're at the top of the game there. And then they do have apps that you can integrate. There is some other apps that you could integrate with here at the directory. I haven't checked into those. I find that integrating a lot of products into something tends to just make it so that there's too much going on. So if you find something that you like that really works well, let me know, and I'll take a look at it and see if that can work well for me as well. I think I just said well about 6 times. All right, let's move on. Let's go across the top now. All right, so you can see this is the reporting. This is a time frame. You can just change this to whatever you need to. You can see I don't really track it all that well through Dotloop for what's happening with each contract. What I'm tracking is making sure that all the paperwork is there. The only way these turn green is if you actually go through each loop and change it to sold, and I tend to not do that. I just finish the contract and then we archive it. So if you like tracking where you're at for the year through Dotloop and you can see the actual dollar amounts for contracts, you may find you like that. For me, I have another Excel spreadsheet that I like better, and so I just use that. But if you like this type of information at your fingertips through Dotloop, you may find it works for you. All right, and these are the loops. We're going to skip that one because we're going to come back to that. There's tons of information there I have to cover. So let's go into tasks. Sometimes you'll have personal tasks, like if you made your own listing of things to finish, those could be here. I tend to not have any task listings that I personally make. They all come from the loop template tasks, and I'll show you that here in a second. But you could go to loop tasks. This is saying I have a bunch of these to sign or they're past due. These are old contracts, so those are things I've put in there, made sure they were in there, then I just passed on, or then I moved on from there. And made sure that the file was still just good. So if you like tracking your tasks through here, this is a good way to do that. Or at the bottom of each loop, if you make the template, there is a task listing there, and that should keep you on task. But I'll show you those when we get to the actual loop. All right. This is where you can have all your people. I tend to not take all my contacts from Google Contacts and shove them in here. that would just be super time consuming. So what I do is on each loop, I just add the person that I'm adding to that loop that needs to know about it, and it automatically adds them to here. So you don't need to create a huge database of names or anything from this. All right, let's go to templates. Templates is a great thing to check out because there are tons of things that are happening here. One is if you use a form all the time that you're finding that really works for you, and right now you may not even know what that form might be, just use our standard forms. But let's say you created a form that you're always using with your clients. You could put it in your personal documents, and that way you always have a template of it. You can just throw it into a loop. You could have some in your inbox. You could have buying documents, right? These buying documents and listing documents are actually templates that I've built, and I'll show you what those look like here in a second. There is a property management template. Most of you probably won't use it. Currently, Jacob is our only property manager, and he's using this all the time. So wanted to just shout out to him. If you guys have property management questions, he's the best guru that I know that can answer those. All right, let's see. Then here is the set of forms that we are always using. It's the Utah AOR interactive forms. Essentially what this is, Dotloop went in and took all of our forms from the MLS and then embedded those into this program so that they're interactive. So the form areas that you could type into, they're respectively on the sheet where you can type in. Or if there's a box, a checkbox, or a little bubble to click to select buyer or seller, they've made that interactive so that you can click on those items. This makes it super fast. So now you don't need to go to the MLS to get forms. You just go straight to Dotloop and plug those in and look for them in the Utah AOR folder, which I'll show you where those are at here in a second. And then you just add those to the loop, and that's how you can start interacting with them to start sending them to your clients. Really nice way to actually make this happen so that people have quick access to all the forms at their fingertips. All right, you could have a task template in here. I've actually, or these are the templates that get loaded onto each checklist, either a buying checklist or a listing checklist. And they're actually at the bottom of each loop, and I'll show you where those actually found. And so you could actually tweak these checklists if you wanted to, and make your own if you felt like there was something you wanted to add that you always seem to run into, or maybe something in there that you're like, oh, that's just obsolete. Maybe you want to get rid of something. You can see the buying checklist is a little bit different than the listing one as well. So. And then clauses, if you had a clause that you were always writing in, and this may be a good area to write maybe an escalation clause that you always like using, or maybe a closing cost little blurb in there that you always like to use. I really haven't made a clause section. I just always write one off the top of my head, or I look at a past contract, and that's how I have my information, and then I just plug that into each contract. But if you find you like to write your clauses here, you could always write that down and make that something that you like to use. Okay, so we've covered all of them except for loops, so let's go back to loops. Let me get a little drink here. All right, so let's say you get your client and they are ready to purchase a home. So then you'd go over here to add loop. Now, something that I like to really go over here is if your clients are ready to purchase a home, then the easiest way to make the loop is under their name, right? Make their name the title of the loop, because if they're purchasing a home, every single document that you're going to deal with has to do with those buyers. The buying contract's going to be that way. The REPC is going to be built that way. If they're offering on 6 properties, each REPC has to deal with those buyers. So let's just assume I am about to buy a house. And you don't have to put purchase, but in this instance, I just want to make sure that you know that this is a buying loop. Hit continue, and then I'm going to add the template called buying, which this is the easiest part here. If you do this accurately up front, then it will load all the documents that you need, or it will give you a template for the documents that are required. And it will also give you the checklist at the bottom so that you can keep yourself on the straight and narrow, or keep yourself on the pathway to success. So let's move on. I usually never put a photo, but you could if you want to, like if they were purchasing a condo and you wanted the photo to be there. Let's put pre-offer, right? We haven't offered on anything. We're just talking to the potential clients. Maybe the price is going to be around $400,000. When I get to this date section, early on, I don't even know if we're going to close something in the next month, 2 months, 4 months. So I usually just go out a little ways and just put a little closing date so that I know sometime we're going to eventually end working with this client, or we'll close something and then we'll archive that. Sometimes you can put the date here too, if you already know it, of what date is going to end your relationship with that client. So maybe you're taking a 6-month buyer broker agreement. You could put a 6-month window out there. For me, I usually just put something random and then we move on so we can see the loop itself. So let's go into the loop. Now, this is what every single loop looks like once you start it. Well, I should say this is what the buying template documents look like when we start a new loop. Now, if you didn't put a template, you can still make a loop, but you have to manually add what forms you're going to use. And technically, we still manually add a lot of forms to this anyways, but this just gives you a template to start with, and also the checklist at the bottom, which I really enjoy. Because it'll help you, like I said, stay on that pathway to success. Because sometimes if you've been doing this a while, or it's your first time, you forget what steps come next. And the checklist isn't in a very sequential order, but it's a general guideline, and so it can really just jog your memory, like, oh yeah, I need to do that. And we'll talk about that here a little bit more in a second. So let's kind of go over what this really looks like. Back to my loops, self-explanatory. We go back to the other screen. Activity log, you could click on this after maybe you've sent out your documents to a lot of people to view. It'll show you they viewed it. It'll show you they signed it and what time they signed. This is that little chat window that you could have people typing you a note, or they could leave you a message. Let's see. Oh, I kind of skipped over. Submit for review means that you are going to submit it to the admin, and the admin is just me. I'm looking over most of the documents, or some of them. If you had a question about something, you guys can just text me or call me. That's what most people do. You could hit submit for review. I might not see that, so the easiest way is to just say, hey TJ, I have this contract, can you just take a look at it? And I'll take a look at it for you. Notes, like I said, notifications, this could show you 6 people have viewed the document, whatever, you know, there are a ton of notifications that'll come up through there. If you click on this title, then you can go into see all the details about this loop. The more information you put in here, the more accurate the loop itself is, because there will be, you know, just more pieces of information. I tend to not write as much stuff in here as you possibly could, just because it's time consuming. Let's say like down here for geographic description, the MLS area, legal description. I mean, there are so many things you could put in here. I just don't have time to do that. So really what I do is I make sure that the title is good, and you can always retitle this if you wanted to, you know, or whatever you need to do. You could put your photo here. We could save. We could go back to my loop. Okay. You could change what type it is. Okay. Or you could change, maybe we're under contract. Oh, nice. Okay. So when you change it to under contract, that actually changes it on this reporting tool right here. Or if you sold, it would change it on the reporting tool as well. If you hit withdrawn, it turns it red because maybe you lost the contract or whatever. Okay, you could go into view details, and I think it just goes into the same thing as clicking the title. Yep, it does. Okay, now what I want to do is actually show you what I do first, and what I do after I get into a loop is I come down here past local service providers, but there are some of our people that we like working with in these boxes here. You're gonna learn the people that you like working with anyway, so just use those people. But here are some that if you don't know anybody, or you forgot to ask me who maybe we should work with, there are some people listed here. So before I start actually getting into documents, I come down here and make sure that I'm titled properly, or when you're doing it, you're titled properly, right? Because right now you'd be acting as a buying agent. So that's a great time to just say, yep, I'm a buying agent, I know that. And then you'd go in here and add all your people, right? All the buyers that are about to be working with you. Maybe it's a husband-wife combo, maybe it's a couple, maybe it's just a single person, maybe it's an LLC. There's tons of things that you can put into the different person that's buying. So you really need to make sure that you have all their information before you get to this point, but this helps you to put them into the contracts properly in the autofill form if you add the person first before you touch any of the forms. So my suggestion is to just always add the people first, then go to contracts. So let's just use my wife for example. I'm going to just load her. She's going to be a buyer, and we're going to add her right into people. Okay, and then once your people are loaded, then you can move on to the contracts, or then you can move on to the actual forms that you want to start using. But let's take a look, before we do that part, let's take a look at the checklist, and the tasks or the checklist are always at the bottom. So you can just see, if we read a few here, discussion of buyer needs, priorities, and timing. Yep, I mean, hopefully we're doing that. Have buyer pre-approved. Okay, maybe we're working on that, right? I tend to show people homes a little bit before we actually get them pre-approved. Sometimes it's vice versa. It's just I like to build the relationship, and if showing them a little or a couple homes needs to do that, then I'll do that before the pre-approval. And you can see you can just check off all these items as you go, and you would definitely, if you read from top to bottom, there's probably about 80 of the tasks. If you read top to bottom though, you'll definitely notice that sometimes they're not in order. So really peruse this checklist and make sure that you're skipping down a little bit, reading a few of them during your transaction, so that you can really say, yep, I'm here, I know we're good, and I know we're on track to close, or maybe I have 3 or 4 more steps to do before we get to close. And then if you run into issues with the checklist, let me know so I can always change it. All right, now let's do documents. Okay, so the documents folder is really kind of nice. It makes it so that you can add folders, you can archive folders. The only thing you can't ever do with these folders is erase anything. You're not able to delete any documents once you've loaded them. So, I mean, and it doesn't matter. If you load five documents and you're like, whoops, those were the wrong 5, archive. No harm, no foul. Like, we're not going to run out of space on Dotloop. So just use it and get used to it, right? If you need to make some loops just to get used to it, make some, because it's only going to help you in the long run. All right, so you can see here the buying documents. These are the template items that I wanted to have in here that just set you up for success, initial success, and say, yep, these are the documents that we need to have. So buyer broker agreement, a wire fraud form, confirmation of receipt of earnest money. You're probably going to use one of those. Excuse me. Buyer due diligence checklist, a resolution of due diligence addendum, if you need one of those, and then addendum to exclusive buyer broker agreement. This one is our 0.5% commission rebate back. If you want to use that, you don't have to, but you can if you want to. So you can see these are all set up for you. The folders are kind of set up there. You could use these folders if you want to. You could add another folder. Maybe we're going to call this one This is my home address. Maybe we're going to put an offer in on that. So maybe we would want the folder with the actual address. And then we could go into templates. So I'll show you where the templates are here in a second, but let's go down here to do the exclusive buyer broker agreement. There's a whole video about representing buyers, but I wanted to show you how Dotloop works. So this little form that popped up right when we went into the form is called the autofill. This helps you fill or autofill all of the little signatures or initial blocks that your clients may be subject to sign. So that makes it easy so you don't have to click on all of them. Okay, but let's say the autofill, so Mitzi's going to be the buyer 1, no one's going to be buyer 2, and I'm her buyer's agent. You could fill in all this other information. I tend to not do that. It's just easier to jump into the form and start writing and making sure that it's all what you want to put in there. So like I said, there's a video all about this form, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. The detail that I want you to see is that in Dotloop you can change whatever you need to. Okay, we could retitle that. Maybe Mitzi wants her middle initial in there, or whatever, right? Maybe she wants her name to appear differently, or anything, right? You can see you can type in all the interactive blocks. That's where you get to interact with the form. And then if you scroll down, you can see where autofill has already given her an initial portion, or where her initials are going to go. Or maybe you think, oh, Dotloop screwed that up, so let's assign that to somebody else. So maybe since I don't have very many or other people listed on here, maybe like buyer 3 or 4, maybe it's a team or whatever, doing a purchase. So let's just say I'm gonna change that to me. Oh, never mind, nope, it's supposed to be Mitzi, so we change it back. You can see how that's working. This one over here, what I like to do is make sure that my clients are not able to mess this up, so I give them one initial block, and then on this one over here I assign that to no one, so that there isn't any room for error. She's just going to open it, click, 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 sign. Boom, done. You could fill in the date for her if you wanted to. There's lots of things you can do. Now, something cool that Dotloop gives us access to is, let's say we needed a signature over here. Put a signature. Assign it to Mitzi. Maybe we need a second set of initials. Assign that to your client. Right? It's super fast. You could add a strike through. I never use this because we don't strike through anything on the contracts. We just go and addendum them and change what we want to change, right? Purchase price and things like that. But if you ever needed a strike through, you could put that in. My advice is not to use that. All right, you could go back to autofill. Maybe we filled in the autofill portions incorrectly. Maybe there is a second buyer. Let's just put myself as the second buyer. And then now you can see, oh, that didn't work. Oh yeah, that's right. I changed this over here, this assign field. So let's put it back to me. But see how this one auto-filled for me? So it's pretty easy to do. So you can always go back to autofill and change whatever you need to. So let's just put Mitzi up here, no one here, and me as the buying agent. Let's go back to normal. Okay, so that went back to normal. This one, since I've manually done it, it's not operating the correct way, but you can see, oh, the overwrite didn't work. Okay, well, you see there are limitations on Dotloop and how fast you can change documents. But just when you're doing it in the initial time, it's really easy for you to just use autofill. They do have more options here. Review some notes. I never use that notes button. When my clients have questions, I just write it to them. You could see your tasks. I don't use that either. Document history. This is going to show you who's touched it, who's opened it, stuff like that. Host in-person signing. You could do this if you have clients that maybe don't know how to use their phones or computer or something like that. You could open this up on a tablet and they could sign with an electric pen or a stylus. So you could have that in-person signing. I've never used that option before. If I have clients that are not technologically inclined, I just print it out and take it to them, sign it, and then I scan it into Dotloop and then send it to the listing agent. All right, so let's save. Now, when we go to the share option, there are a bunch of options here that you need to really be aware of. So first off, it's trying to send it to Mitzi. Of course, she needs to sign it. That's the buyer. So we want to have her to be in Can Sign. Now, if we click Can Sign, you can see 4 options. View only. You can see Can Sign, Can Fill and Sign, and Can Edit in Private. So it's levels of how much trust you have in your client not to mess this up. In my opinion, I set the entire form up and then I just put them to sign. So I use Can Sign because I don't want them to fill in anything. I want me to fill it in and make sure it's accurate, and then all the places they can sign, that's what they do. I never use Can Fill and Sign. It just gets messy. And Can Edit in Private is where they can edit the document, and I don't want them to do that. So to make sure everybody's good, only give them options that you want them to have. So let's leave it on Can Sign. But let's say we're going to send it to Brandy. She's the title worker that I like working with. And so maybe Brandy needs to see this document. And so we're going to make her role as escrow title. And then what I do with third-party people is I put view only. Because I want Brandy to see this document, but she has no reason to need to sign it. And she has no reason to need to edit or fill in any of the blocks. That's our job. So I give her view only access, which when she opens this up, she'll get the email, just boop, she'll open it, document comes up, and she can print the PDF or she can just add it to her file, whatever she's got to do. And when I share this at the same time, Mitzi will get an email to sign the document. So this is super fast. I mean, you can send it for people to sign and you can send it for people to view at the same time. Now, caveat to that though is if I send it to Brandy and I send it to Mitzi to sign at the same time, the document has no signatures on it yet, so Brandy probably doesn't care about it yet. So most of the time you're sending it to your view only third parties after you have an executed document. All right, so I'm not going to send that to her. You do have this little back blue arrow, so you can go back after you're finished messing around with this document. Then you would finish out all these other forms. Whatever you need to finish out, you can finish those forms. Now you have a general idea of how to use and utilize the forms and form process. All right, so let's just add a document here. Let's say we need to add the REPC. Okay, we're about to write a REPC on this property. We're making it quick. We got to get it in there. We're up against the time clock. Of course, you guys know in the market now, there's a little less buying pressure. But let's hit templates. Actually, let me talk about all 3 of these buttons first. If you click on templates, that takes you to what templates you have access to. So that could be your buying documents, your listing documents, and the Utah AOR forms, which that's the one where I want to spend the most time. Now, you could browse onto your computer looking for the form that you want to use. Maybe you have a form that came from another agent and you needed to upload that to Dotloop to put signatures on. So you would browse that right here. You would go and find that document and then load initials and signatures in the respective boxes. Clicking on this one from email, I never use that, so I don't know how it works. You'd probably click it and get in there and pull something from your email, but I just never use it. So let's do the one for templates, and you can see here I have the personal, inbox, buying documents, listing documents, property management, but here in Utah AOR interactive forms is where all of our documents from the MLS are. So let's say we need a REPC, right? Because you can see there's about 100 documents here. So we need a rep C, type in rep C, scroll down until you find the rep C you want to use, right? Let's see, this one right here. Check mark it. Maybe we need an FHA loan addendum on top of that. Maybe we need a blank addendum. Maybe we need a backup offer. You know, whatever addendums you need or whatever forms you need, they're listed right here in the AOR interactive forms. I'm not going to load anymore because it's going to copy about, well, 4 documents. All right, now you can kind of see some functions here. Let's see, we don't want the addendum to be at the top, you know, and you don't need to reorder them. They just make it easier for me to see what we're doing. So I'd reorder this, put rep C up here. You know, maybe I want my FHA addendum down here. And then I would go into these documents and start editing those, right? Typing in what you need for purchase price, dates, where your client needs to sign. Super easy to navigate once you have the correct documents loaded that you need. Now let's kind of just go over a couple things here. Let's say I finished writing this one, this one, this one, and this one. I can check this box and send all the documents at the same time. Maybe we don't need the secondary backup offer right now, so maybe we only want to send these 3. I could hit share. Brings up the same open document or open screen that we need to send it to the client and maybe Brandy to take a look at it. Okay. I love how Dotloop works. It's super fast. All right, so maybe we aren't going to send any of these documents yet. Or let's see, there are some options here at the top once we've selected them. Fax, nobody ever does that anymore. Download, you could download these to your desktop or something. Maybe you want to email those. You can make another copy. You could print them, of course. You could open them. Maybe you want to just archive that. So maybe I'm going to archive just, let's see, not that. I'm going to archive just this document. Zip. And now it's archived. Okay, we could show archived if we needed to. We can hide the archived if we needed to. Something else you can do is using the 3 dots over here. Maybe you could open them all, share all of them, rename. Maybe we titled this wrong. Maybe it's called circles or something, right? So you can retitle it. You can also do that with your document. You can rename your document. Okay, maybe you don't want that stuff at the end. You could see your history, or you could make a copy, history, print, self-explanatory stuff, download. Signature verification just pulls up a little blip that says, yep, these were signed at such and such time. You could archive that from here as well. And you, as you notice, there isn't a place on here that says delete or erase. So archive is your only option. Let's say you had 10 offers out and it's just really jumbled and they're all over the place. Just archive the ones that are passed or have failed, and that way you don't have a bunch of junk up in your folder. All right, let's see, any other options on here that I didn't talk about? Let's click on a service provider. If you wanted to use a service provider, you could click here. This would just request info from Brandy. She would get loaded to this loop, and then you could talk to her. Let's see. Oh, you can see a new task. I'm supposed to sign this buyer broker agreement because I forgot. So you as an agent would go into your buyer broker agreement and you would sign. Done. Oh, whoops, that's a buyer signature. Nope. So I go down here and sign now. Save. Perfect. Then I'll go back, and then now you can see I successfully checkmarked this signed document. Okay, so that's how a buying loop looks. Let's do a listing loop, and it'll go much quicker because I'm not going to go into full detail about how the buttons work or any of that. So let's go back to loops. And then I'm going to add a loop, and we're going to call this TJ McClure. Oh, whoops, sorry, hold on. When I do a listing, the easiest way to put the listing is if you have the address as the title of the loop. So I'm going to put my address here. You can see Google is trying to populate this thing. Nope, there it goes. Okay, so if Google populates this, it'll automatically put in some of that data for the whole loop, like address and location and city and things like that. Or if you don't want to have all that, you can just title it what you want to have it as. But the thing I want to make here, or the point that I want to drive home here, is that if you have a buyer, you want the buyer to use, or you want the buying loop to be under the client's name. Because when you use the client's name, that's what all the documents are going to be loaded to, right? Every document that you're going to write, every rep sheet you're going to write is going to be associated with those clients. Now, if you're running a listing, let's say we were going to list my house, every document that we receive is going to be for that listing, right? You could have 15 offers come in the first day. Every offer has to deal with that address. So when I make a listing, I just make a listing for the address itself. Quick side note is, if you have a client that is about to sell a home and buy a home and they're using you, make 2 different loops, because it'll make life much, much easier. Because all the documents you're going to receive from them or for them for the listing are going to be a part of the address. And every offer you go out and write for those clients, you're going to have it for their name. Maybe you write 6 offers that day. Don't get it confused for yourself and make one loop for one client that's all the buying and listing documents put together. It's just a headache. All right, so we're going to make a listing loop. Go next, done. Same thing here, pre-listing, maybe this thing is going to be 400,000, right? This is just kind of tracking that reporting tool if you like using that. Right now, we don't know when it's going to close, so maybe we'll just go out a bunch of months. It doesn't really matter. Go to view loop. Now you can see you have the same setup in a listing loop as you do a buying loop. It's just the forms are different. Let's see. And apparently the listing loop does not have an exclusive right to sell agreement anymore. So I'm gonna go fix that in the templates. I didn't know that it wasn't loaded. And recently they updated the form, so I know that's probably why. So I'm gonna go in and add that to the template so you guys have access to that right off the bat instead of having to go find that in the Utah AOR form. So it's a good thing we're always trying to check this stuff. It always changes. So if you guys run into issues, even months from now after watching this video, let me know, because I can always go in the templates and change those as well. So like I said, we're not going to go diving deep into this. It operates the same as a buying loop. But just wanted to reiterate, once you start a loop, add your people first, check out the tasks, and then start using your forms. Super easy. Okay, so if you have any questions, let me know. Call me, text me, Google Hangouts, whatever you guys like using. But this has been a really fun opportunity for me to show you how Dotloop works, and I've kept it under 45 minutes, which is half of the time that the last video took. So I'm really excited for you guys to take a look at Dotloop and see how it works. Once you guys dive into it, you're gonna love it, and just let me know how you like it, and let me know if you run into issues. All right, another video with Fitness Realty, TJ McClellan, broker, and see you guys next time. All right, later.